Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. So it's a beautiful day today, but last night we got a pretty serious freeze frost. So I'm going to take you around and give you a garden tour, show you how everything's looking, and then at the end I'm going to show you how I'm cleaning up my front porch area to get it ready for the winter. All right, let's take a look. So we're going to start here on the porch and just take a look at this beautiful diamond rouge hydrangea that I showed you last time, which is even more beautiful right now. Its colors are almost fluorescent pink, along with the beautiful colors of its leaves that are deepening. And then the viburnum behind it is just as lovely. I'm really loving the look of this path right here that I redid, including all of the gorgeous burgundy glow ajuga that I used to edge it. I think it just looks so lovely with the mums that are here. These really pretty light pink mums. And of course the Virginia and the heuchera. It all just fills in rather nicely. Now here in the potager, you'll see I've started using shredded leaves as compost. This is just a really nice mulch that will break down over the winter and turn into a nice compost for my vegetables. And I have a critter that is coming in and eating all of the tops off of my carrots as well as my kale. I believe it is a groundhog. I have seen him around here quite a bit lately. You'll see my hot and heavy peppers, despite having such cold weather, are still really beautiful and putting on quite a show. I highly recommend those. They're incredibly productive plants. So if you enjoy spicy food, but not too spicy, they're about the spice of a jalapeno, I would definitely recommend those to you. I just recently staked up my purple smoke bush here, which I have trained into almost a standard. It is really beautiful and growing very tall, but because of that, the wind started to blow it. So I need the trunk to get a little bit stronger before I can be able to take that stake off. And I think it'll be just the thing to have it staked in over the winter and as the roots firm up right now. This is really its first real season of growth. You can see I've got my season extenders on here. Underneath of this one is the same lettuce that I had planted earlier this year. You can see it's doing really good. And it's super happy underneath this protector. These I got from Gardener's Supply Company, and they have a mesh top. So they do help with letting the rain through, but they just protect them a little bit more and give them a couple extra degrees of temperature during the cold nights. And then this one is doing double duty as a crop protector for my parsley, because my parsley tends to get eaten also by the groundhog. And you can see some of these rose hips here are coloring up really beautifully. Recently I took a shot on Instagram that showed how this tree was golden in color, but it has lost all of its leaves now that it got that good freeze. And you can see this area is still looking lovely though. It still has a lot of fall color due to the sedum. And my alyssum is still hanging on in my lady pot. Now, all of my concrete art that is throughout the garden, or statuary, is going to need to be flipped over or brought into my shed. And that way it can overwinter safely without cracking. Here's my beautiful berry bush. This is a candy coralberry. I think I've called it before in the past proudberry coralberry because that's the name of the Proven Winners one, but this is actually a first editions one. There's really not much difference. This is the candy coralberry, and it's very pretty right now. Now my tropical bed is probably one of the most devastated beds by the cold. You can see the banana plants have definitely taken a hit at the top of their leaves, but the trunks remain. They have not turned to mush yet. So I will have to get out something to slice them. I'll probably get out my machete and slice them down and then just throw some mulch over the top of their crowns. Hibiscus plants also that are over on the other side are looking rather sad right now. So it's about time to cut those back. I've had some questions about that as well. So When you cut those back, leave about a 6-inch, 4 to 6 inches above the ground. The reason why this is important is because not only does it protect the crown over the winter, but they're such a late riser from the winter that in the spring you can hardly see them come up until maybe the end of May or June even. And so it's important for you to know where they are so you don't dig them up or damage the roots by digging around them. Okay, you can see the glorious color of these blueberries has only gotten better, but the groundhog has decimated my kale. I did come out here and spray last night, so hopefully the groundhog will begin to leave those alone. You can see this aronia bush has put on some more color. And my 3 privets here that have the beautiful variegated foliage are doing quite well, and they have not been touched or harmed in the least by the freeze. And they do have some pretty blueberries on them here. They're almost black. Now, as it's gotten colder and it's been very wet, the 7 sun bracts from the flowers have begun to fall off, so the color from those is starting to fade, but the leaves are still green. I believe the leaves will turn the color yellow as they become more affected by the cold weather. A beautiful sight right now is over here where you can see my thundercloud plum amongst the golden leaves of my neighbor's maple tree. I just love the way that looks. It's so pretty. Over here we have a very golden hosta back behind this 9-bark. And this is the Amber Jubilee. It has not turned its fall colors yet, but I expect that it will. My Strawberry Sundae back here is so happy. I think from all the rain that it's been getting, but it just looks quite fresh still. The Pulmonaria are still looking very lovely. And then the gold of these hostas right here, it just has gotten much more bright and stunning. I'm really enjoying the hopscotch heucherella that we put in over here. Isn't that pretty? Just look at the colors on that. I love it. I'm so happy with that. Highly recommend it. Very easygoing. Here's another spot where you can see the gold foliage of the hostas. Wow, is that magnificent. I mean, that is neon yellow right there. I hope everyone had a happy Halloween. We've been very busy here with Halloween, and it's been quite windy and wet. Here's an interesting combination where you can see a rhododendron with a hosta that has turned gold with the autumn frost hosta, and then the brunnera, which is the Jack Frost brunnera. This morning there was ice on my mermaid bird bath over here, so I will have to be bringing that one in. I will empty it, simply wipe it out a little bit, and then bring that into the shed, or I will turn it upside down for the winter. We'll just look down this way a little so you can see how everything looks with the wind and the willows there. That just reminds me of the book. The Wind in the Willows with Frog and Toad. So this bed is still looking lovely with colors, but the hosta in the front are beginning to turn to mush. So once it really freezes, that's what pretty much happens to all hostas. They'll become fairly transparent, and then they will just crumple up and begin to die back. This is when you either want to cut them now, or you can wait until they dry up a little bit. You can wait until the spring as well if you want to. They can have a little tendency to perpetuate diseases if you leave them in the garden, if you already have disease. But if your garden is otherwise healthy, I would say go ahead and leave them if you'd like. So here's the bird bath area and the bench. Everything is looking really colorful right now. I'm enjoying these goji berry heucheras, and I will tell you that the frost on them this morning was so beautiful. If I haven't posted it and you've seen it on Instagram yet, I will be posting pictures of that as well for you. And I don't know if you can tell just how much this bed is glowing now that it has the hostas in it. I feel like it doesn't do it justice whenever I see things on camera, but it's so beautiful right now. The gold with the rich burgundy and maroon of the heucheras that are in here with the mahogany monsters. It's like quintessential fall. Just look at that. I'm so pleased with the way that this bed is doing. This bed, this is its second year, and right here, this whole area that I'm showing you right now is all brand new pretty much this year. There was only a couple of plants here. Now I added some foxglove in here. I'm not sure if they bloomed this year, if they're perennial or biennial. We will see what happens with these over the winter, but I really liked adding them in there because I felt like it gave a denser presence. They're very soft and they have hints of blue in them, and they will also be semi-evergreen in my climate. So that will leave a little bit of something in this bed when there will be nothing else other than perhaps some of the heucheras being a little semi-evergreen in my area. Most of it will probably be covered by snow, but we'll see. Some winters we get very little snow. Okay, many of you requested a video tour of my way back garden, so here I am delivering on that. These are the steps that come down from my upper garden, and those are just created out of concrete that was left over from a patio we smashed up that was really old. And here's where I have some compost and some arborvitaes that are growing on. The deer tend to eat them in the winter time if I don't protect them. And then this is a beautiful spruce tree that I planted about 10 years ago, and it has done amazing. And my neighbor has a beautiful tulip tree over here next to it. I planted this spruce tree the same time as this other one, so it's an excellent example of the right plant in the right place. This one on the slope does not receive as much water or nutrients because it's on the slope, and so it has not done as well. Now I have put some branches around it this year in the hopes that this will help the soil to become a better biome and feed the roots of this, and it seems to be responding so far, so we'll see how it does. Also here in my way back, this looks like a little bit of a messy path, and what it is essentially is garden debris. And so I am trying to bring up the base of this slope a couple of feet so that it provides me with better access to be able to garden on the slope. Now, many of you may know, if you ever take pictures of something that's on a slope, the actual angle of the slope usually looks much more gentle, and that's what it's doing right now to you. So you can't tell how steep it is, but it's really helpful to get a little bit closer. I've only planted to about here. So I've planted mostly the upper half using ajuga and some garlic chives, along with some pink potion, veronica, and of course you saw me plant the rogersia the other day. And then I have the new Japanese tassel fern up there, some regular onion chives, and then I'm blanking on the name of the other plant I just planted the other day. But You can see this path is a bit more woody and full of sticks right here, but this is what I do with the brush. The brush helps to hold the green material in place so that it does not continue to erode. And I have my Aralias here, and you can see the very beginnings of some pulmonarias in here, along with the lamium and some of that big root geranium, the geranium macrorrhizum. And we have some cleanup to do back here, but I also have planted an evergreen at this end, and you can see a brush pile. And I'm going to be doing a little bit more trimming as well in here. I'll be taking out this and this. That way it will help to open up a little bit more sunlight, and I'll also be cutting this one back this winter. A really good time for pruning is in the late winter. Anytime things go dormant is a really good time to prune. So this path is coming along, and the deer seem to really like it. I planted some big root geraniums along my curving path here, and you can see another arborvitae that I planted. And in here I have a little Solomon seal and some betony. And really this is such a work in progress. There's so much shade back here, and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. And the soil is not good. I believe it's the soil that they dug out from making the pool that we have. But I have all of this extra concrete that we're going to be finishing out the steps with, or at least my husband will. And so then along the top here we have a lovely path, which I have taken some of the retaining wall blocks and just put it along the edge of the fence. And you can see I have begun planting pulmonaria up along the fence here after I divided it. Some of it is very small. It's really slow going, so if you are trying to take over a space that is wild, just remember it won't happen overnight. These things take several years to establish unless you have lots of money and machines that can move the earth, or, you know, lots of friends who can help labor and plenty of money for lots of plants. Otherwise, just take your time and enjoy the process. You can see this is a hellebore that I planted. This will be its second winter, and it's looking rather good. I think we're going to get some excellent blooms out of that one. This one here is still a baby that I just planted. You can see I put some columbine back here as well, which I just planted this year. Lots of brand new plants back here this year. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the garden. For those of you who don't have deer, this is a sure sign that deer are in your garden. You can see their footprints very well, their hoof prints. All right, this little lime's doing well. My mucdenia over here has gone to sleep for the winter. And you can see that my very last bright pink mum here is actually blooming. Here we go. And my little gold star Rudbeckia are still going as well. Lots of deep dark colors from the Sedum Autumn Joy. I did move my Weigela to the back here, so I think that's going to provide nice structure in the back and allow it more room to grow, and it's starting to turn some fall colors. Everything's looking just as it should this time of year. I do wish I got more blooms on this climbing rose, but as I understand it, they do take some time to establish, so I'm hoping that next year it will be a more prolific, let me tack. I'm hoping next year it will be a more prolific bloomer than it was this year. It's the Eden variety. And this all the rage rose, just look at all of the buds on it right now. I think they're going to be killed off overnight tonight. We will see. The same goes for this clematis, which is really trying hard to put on some last blooms. But I am looking forward to the evergreen structure that this holly will provide. And you can see the colors in the garden are just glorious still. All of these heuchera. Obviously, I haven't cleaned out my hanging baskets yet. I'm definitely a little slow right now, a little behind. My son's birthday was in October along with Halloween, and we definitely do a lot of activity for Halloween in our family. It's one of our favorite holidays along with Christmas. Look at the color on this Japanese maple. It's really starting to turn. Rather than being that deep burgundy, it's brightening up. And that foliage, along with the mum and that lavender and the beautiful pink marble salvia. What a combination, huh? I'm going to show you here what is probably going to be a couple of the very last blooms on this rose bush this year. How beautiful is that? And here we have some of our very last incredible hydrangea blooms. They're going to be fading, and I think tonight probably the rest of them will freeze off. These crystal blue salvia have continued to bloom really late into the fall. I'm really enjoying those. I did divide that. I had one of them and now I have two. And it's bloomed so much more than the other one here just to the left, which of course the groundhog ate some of this. So I think I'm going to divide some more of that crystal blue salvia next year. Hopefully I can get two more out of those and replace the one that is just not blooming as well. Okay, I'm skipping over a little bit of the beds because we're still cleaning up from Halloween. But I think that this weeping cherry here, or crabapple, is looking rather pretty. With the gorgeous barberries and the spireas under it and the plumbago. Now, the deer did get my black lace elderberry. So sad, they ate the tips right off. The plus side, maybe it'll be bushier next year. The juniper behind it though, you guys, it is growing so good. I am so happy I planted this. This is gonna be really pretty this winter. I love it. And that with the two boxwoods on either side is gonna really provide some structure in the garden. Now I added a couple of Gara. I got these on sale. So I have a couple of those. And I don't have Gara in the garden anywhere. But the foliage sure is pretty right now, isn't it? And those black scallop ajuga sure do stand out. I have a couple of late blooms on this clematis here that's on my mailbox. It decided to put out a couple of last blooms. There's one on this side and then another beautiful one over here. And look at how it just harmonizes with that mum. Isn't that beautiful? Love those colors. All right, here we are in the front garden bed and the sun is beginning to go down and it's just looking lovely. You can see my Japanese maple back there, which I grew from about a 12-inch stick that I got from the Arbor Day Foundation when I was much younger. That was one of the few plants that I brought from my very first house to this home, and I've really enjoyed what beauty it's brought to this. It's very windy right now, so I apologize if it's coming into the mic, but I really just wanted to show you what maybe some of the last footage of color in my garden because of all of the chills and the freezing weather that's coming along right now. You can see we have some eyeballs in our boxwoods right now for Halloween still. And here's a closer view of the maple tree. I don't know if you can see the colors on that very well, but I'm gonna get as close as I can. It is quite tall now. And finally, my autumn blaze maple. I just love this tree. It's such a good deal. It's providing such lovely color. And I love the hostas that are glowing right now. These are the bedazzled hostas in and amongst the Paint the Town magenta dianthus, along with a couple of mums and a couple of phlox. A very small garden bed, but I'm enjoying it. Now over here you see some more very golden hostas. Everything over here is definitely getting ready for the winter. You can see I have a little bit of color starting on my sumac here. These are a low grow fragrant sumac, and that means they only get about 24 inches high, but they do get very wide, probably up to 6 feet wide if you want them to. And look at the glowing berries on this barberry. Pretty crazy, the colors that nature produces sometimes. And here we have the glowing fountain again with the Japanese bloodgrass swaying in the wind. Okay, well, I appreciate everybody joining me today. I'm so sorry that I'm not able to show you a front porch cleanup, but it's really a mess right now with all sorts of Halloween stuff, pumpkins and spiders and all sorts of things from our haunted house and our Halloween. So stay tuned, and I will have another video soon. I'm creating a new plant room in my downstairs, so I'm looking forward to showing you what that looks like and how we're going to spruce it up this year. Thanks for joining me today. See you next time. Bye!